Hey guys, what's up? It is Mossy from Pro Gamer Academy, back with another video for you all. We are going over the winners finals as well as the losers round 2 games today. We can go ahead and get right into it. The winners finals was Cloud9 against Team Liquid, and honestly really disappointed by the series. I'll admit, I was wrong. I thought my prediction was incorrect. I thought Team Liquid would step up. Team Liquid would step up, but obviously they did not. And let's talk about why. So Cloud9 take game 1, TL takes game 2, Cloud9 take game 3 and 4. The Perkz was the MVP for this series, might be interesting to note, and a big part of the series was the mid lane and top lane matchups, like the dynamics there. If you're a Team Liquid fan, you're angry, you want people to blame on this series, or blame for this series, it's probably Alphari, it's probably Santorin, and like honestly, if we're being realistic, it's probably Jensen. Jensen needs to step up a lot more. We're going to talk a little bit about that later, but let's get into some of the draft priority that we saw. Throughout this series, we saw Cloud9 favoring, actually, games 2, 3, and 4, we saw the Sion pickup for Blabber in the top lane. Blabber played an amazing series. I didn't really see any problem with his gameplay. And actually, the most amazing thing is that this was the matchup, like, people were not giving Blabber his credit. And what happened was, Alphari just didn't do anything this series. I mean, like, he looked okay in a couple of the games. He didn't dominate the top lane the way that you may have expected him to. Blabber's consistent, like, a player who consistently receives, I think, a lot of slack, or a lot of criticism, and he is, like, just stepped up through all these series. Like, he played so well. So the Sion pickup, kind of interesting, shows where the meta is going. Cloud9 really favoring that champion, along with the Nidalee. Obviously, the Blabber Nidalee very powerful. Blabber, Blabber, I believe, received a lot of target bans within this series, and so they kept going back to this Nidalee champion, and he looked great. I think Blabber had a great series. I don't really have an issue with anything he did wrong. And in contrast, Santorin just... I really don't understand what is with or what is with Team Liquid. I should say TSM, though, because Team Liquid has been like they have been the reincarnation of TSM over the past 2 series. You have Broxah, you have Santorin. These 2 players, right before you pick them up, were insane. They were like at the top of their game. All of a sudden, they get mixed in with Team Liquid, and I mean, like, I'm not gonna pretend that Santorin has had the most awful season of all time, and same for Broxah, but the potential, for where they are, as players, and how they look when they're on Team Liquid, there's some disconnect there. So I don't know what Team Liquid is telling to their junglers, but it feels like every single time, they make this upgrade, right? They play last season with Broxah. You're watching Santorin smurf the entire season with FlyQuest. All of a sudden, they pick up Santorin. And it's the same thing now, right? Like, you're looking at Blabber. Blabber's 1v9 every game. I mean, maybe not quite 1v9, but he's had an amazing season. And you're wondering, like, okay, is TSM going to try and pick up Blabber now? Like, are they just dumb with Santorin? Like, Santorin's struggling a little bit. I'm not going to pretend he's had a horrible season. Hasn't looked as good as Alphari. Probably has looked better than Jensen. And Jensen is my next issue with this Team Liquid roster. Like, on paper, this roster is good. You got Core JJ Tactical in the bot lane. You have this star top laner, Alphari. Probably one of the better top laners in the LCS, although he didn't look like it last weekend. You have to wonder, when are they going to upgrade mid? Jensen is not at a point in his career now where he's leading the LCS. I think there was a lot of speculation in the preseason as to where things would go with Jensen. I think a lot of people were sort of disappointed with his performance in the preseason tournament and throughout the season. We haven't really seen as many flashy games. Bjergsen retired before this season, and it was always Bjergsen and Jensen, and I just feel like Bjergsen, in his last playoffs before he retired, 1v9, hard carried, basically willed TSM to win, that playoffs. And you look at Jensen, you're just not getting the same value out of this player. I mean, he's okay. He's stable, which is, I guess, maybe all that you can ask for now out of NA mid laners. I don't know. But really not great looks from really not great looks at all from some of these Team Liquid players. Regardless, you know, I don't think the gap was that huge. It is worthy to note that the game that TL won of the series was 24 minutes, the shortest game of the series, so they have the potential to win this matchup if they get past TSM.
A bigger gap than it is.
Now, if we're talking about TSM, it's funny. I mean, Team Liquid's basically the new TSM. As to like, if you think about like the talent suppression machine meme, you know, Santorin and now Broxah, or excuse me, Broxah and Santorin. It feels like they're really struggling with their junglers. But regardless, we can move on. TSM was able to 3-1 on 100 Thieves. I believe I did predict this one correctly. Maybe I thought it was going to be 3-2. I think I said 3-1. If we look at this series, we can see again a lot of heavy priority on the Nidalee and actually on the Gnar from TSM.
Yeah, Fari went back topside.
So just important to note, kind of interesting to look at. Kind of a similar situation here where TSM ended up taking the first 2 games actually, and then Thieves took game 3, and then TSM wrapped up in game 4. A lot of longer games within this series. I think the longest game was like a 42-minute game. But overall, TSM looked like the better team. Huni played really well, if I recall correctly. I think he got the MVP for this series, so just something interesting to note. We saw 100 Thieves put a lot of priority on champions like Jace and like Lilia and like Ash. I don't know. 100 Thieves really fell off the wagon. I hope that they can get it together, you know, within the next split, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, TSM were the better team. They're going to move on forward, so we're going to look at the winners finals. Winners finals is going to be, or excuse me, this is the losers finals because they dropped down. Team Liquid and TSM playing against each other to decide who plays Cloud9 in the grand finals. Personally, I'm going to say TSM right now. Like, Team Liquid did not look good. They 3-1 TSM the last time. I think, I honestly, my gut feeling is that TSM are going to 3-2 and win this. They have the lower bracket buff. They're playing with confidence. They're playing better, and I could see them taking it right now. Now, things change a little bit when we look at the grand finals, though. Cloud9 is a team that has just looked so dominant, regardless of whatever lower bracket magic TSM have. I think Cloud9 is going to probably like 3-1 the grand finals against TSM. I think when you look at the jungle matchup, Spica, you know, he's playing the Nidalee. Like, Blabber is too, but like, look at the champions and look at the gameplay. It is going to be a jungle diff in the grand finals because Blabber can play literally 1 out of like 10 champions and just know the game and operate and play the game better than Spica in the long run. I like Cloud9 just look more put together than any other team. That being said, I mean, they haven't really faced a real challenge. I'm gonna say this is probably like a 3-1. Maybe they get kind of thrown off by it for a game, but you know, when I talked about it last week, like I thought Team Liquid would beat a team to beat C9 because C9 look a tiny bit like, what's the way to put it? I think C9 struggle when they face teams that are extremely well organized, and Team Liquid usually is. Team Liquid usually doesn't make simple mistakes. TSM, on the other hand, is not disciplined right now, so I can totally see this being like a 3-1 sweep type thing. Anyways, we will kind of see how that works out on Sunday. Moving forward, I mean, that is pretty much all that I wanted to talk about. Obviously, you know, this is going to be a big weekend. It should be kind of, actually, it should be very interesting to see where things go. Honestly, it's been a super fun split, and you know, right after this, we have coming up is the mid-season invitational. So I'm hoping, you know, our teams kind of shape up a little bit. There's been a lot of mistakes, a lot of misplays, and you know, North America, like, we're doing a lot of growth and development right now as a region, but I'm hoping we can see some fresh faces, maybe next year, maybe some new players, but we need to shake things up. Anyway, that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for tuning in, and looking forward to seeing what happens this weekend. Take it easy, and we will catch you in the next one.
And Zombie Scion's hitting the Nexus, so can they stop him? It's a 3v3 right now. Vulcan's out of mana.